I was just reading up on the Russian Civil War and
What was that about? I don't know
that.
shit about that.
dude, the Germans sent Lenin and Trotsky and all those guys back into Russia before it was the Soviet Union to hopefully start a revolution during World War One.
Stop.
The Germans like injected them into Russia to be like, hopefully these guys collapse the government.
What?
And they did.
That was the Germans doing?
Germans propped them up.
Dude, and who's doing that now?
The Ruskies?
Do you think so?
Well, they saw what worked.
Kind of, yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I really...
Ruskies are propping up like horrible fucking race wars in America.
What the fuck?
Yeah, man.
Dude, that makes too much sense.
Yeah, the monarchy in Russia like exiled all those dudes, and they all like fucking Trotsky. I think Lenin might have lived. Trotsky lived in New York for a little. Like they all went everywhere, and then Germany.
They had a hot cast going
during World War One. They had a hot cast, and Germany was like, "We got to end this war on this front." During World War One, they're like, "If we send these guys back into Russia, they'll fucking the cast is hot." They'll get the boys going. And they did, dude. They got the workers going.
Mass starvation. It was like starvation and shit.
Yeah, but the Russian Civil War is nuts, man.
Who was fighting?
It was the old guard, so it was like they're called the White Russians.
Seriously?
It was the White Russians versus the Reds. And the White Russians were like people who still supported the government, like the monarchy.
Yeah, no communism.
The Tsar.
Yeah.
And then the Reds were a lot of like anarchists.
Shit, dude.
Social Democrats.
What?
Yeah. And like the numbers are always wacky when you look at like casualties in Russia, because then the Soviets kept everything quiet. But there's the casualties of the Russian Civil War are like 20 million.
Damn.
Like just insane.
Really?
Yeah, man.
How much of that, how many like, because everyone always uses that stat as like the gulags and stuff.
This was pre-gulags. That was like, gulags were during the Soviet reign.
When was that? Oh, that was when they won.
Yeah. But they did have what was called white and red terrors, which they would go intimidate people, and by that, like, execute towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the problem?
So they were with each other?
Yeah. Communism versus no communism?
Communism versus, well, not necessarily communism, but like, not the Tsar or with the Tsar.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So freedom fighter, they're patriots.
Kinda.
And then they were like, when
they were saying good things.
When did it slide into like never-ending gym class? That's how I always picture communism, like never-ending gym class. Everyone's just in like a sweatsuit, just like
Stalin.
That's when he was like
Lenin was hooking them up with. Well, what also fucked them is they were using all the workers.
Yeah.
For their army.
Okay.
So they were using like peasant armies, and then they were like, "Oh shit, we're out of food." Because all the peasants just died in a war.
Quick miscalculation.
Yeah, that was an easy one to look back on and be like, "Oh fuck, we were using farmers as soldiers."
They just like the bread stopped coming, and they're like, "Huh?"
Yeah, they ran out of food. It got nuts, man.
That sucks.
Yeah, and then
didn't they like eat each other and shit?
There was some of that in Stalingrad during World War. Support the president.
Yeah, man.
The entire country's like, what?
Freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, they're like, what? You're a fucking Nazi?
And it also there's also people the opposite who you're like, dude, Trump's a fucking retard. And they're like, fuck you. Yeah. And it's like, dude, it's whatever they're doing is working, and we'll see, dude. It's gonna be. I mean, the propaganda is gonna get.
It's wild though, right? During World War One.
No idea.
Germany was like, this will fuck them up. Let's give them this disease. Let's give them communism.
Oh.
And then it came back to fuck Germany 20 years later.
It came back on them?
The Soviet Union just butt-fucked Germany.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, if he knew the Nazis were close to a city, he wouldn't evacuate the civilians. Because he was like, it'll actually inspire the troops to fight harder if they know they're defending women and children.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah, dude. Wild shit. I finished Ghost of the Ostfront for like the third time.
Really? What is it's a book about World War? No, you listen to the
Carlin podcast about the Eastern Front.
I got to get into it.
It is insane.
How bad they were?
How bad both sides were, and just like I was telling you, you were busy, but there's one story where there's this, you had to follow if you were a Soviet commander, you had to follow every order to a T. Like you couldn't fuck it up at all. So like,
what happens if you did? They would shoot you.
They'd kill you.
Jesus Christ.
It's like no matter what the order was, you had to do it. So this one's like move the line up 5 kilometers, and on a map there's no river. Yeah. But now there's a river in front of you, and he's like, all my guys are Mongolians. None of them. They're all from the steppes. They've never even seen water.
Damn.
And he's like, if I if we try to cross, they're all going to drown, but that's the order. So then he would just send them all. They would all drown. He'd get to the other side and be like, about fucking 7 dudes survived. And they'd be like, what the fuck happened? They'd be like, well, they drowned in the river.
And they'd be like, all right.
They're like, okay.
Fair enough.
Thanks.
Good work.
Hang up. Like, it was insane, dude. Everything was...
That's fucking crazy.
But then, especially, like, the stories about, like, Berlin at the end, when, like, the Soviets are coming, it's like, holy fuck, dude.
When they came, they stormed... I didn't know they stormed Berlin.
Yeah. That's where we met them.
Terrifying.
The West,
when the Ruskies came.
Americans and the Russians met in Berlin.
And
everybody in Berlin was trying to get to the American side. They're like, please let us surrender to you guys, because those guys are
Ruskies.
Raping everybody.
Damn.
They were, and it was like they were raping chicks to death. Dude, it's fucking crazy.
I mean, there are a bunch of Ruskies in the wild, dude.
They're Ruskies and this had all just happened to them. So the Germans have been doing it for years.
Going through Russia on a little, they're raping?
They were fucking every atrocity imaginable.
What?
So then
what's their beef with the fucking Ruskies?
Well, the Russians, I mean, it was all racial. They were like, these people aren't Aryan.
Yeah.
They're the hordes from Asia.
Let's rape them.
They're not human. So any war crime you commit is not a crime.
Against a Ruski?
Yeah.
Shit.
So everything was legal. Like, you could just... It was nuts.
You could do whatever. So the Ruskies were just like, oh, yeah? So they're came
like,
back.
You think you guys can rape? Wait till you see what we do, dude. It was... And then all these countries that were in the middle, like Poland and fucking...
Were they catching R's on the way there?
They were catching R's on the way there and back.
Damn,
dude. Got the old double R, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, and then the idea at the end of it is like an entire population with PTSD.
For sure.
Like the whole population has it that survived World War II.
It's just
like it must have just been wild.
Oh, after that? You can't even imagine, dude.
No.
You can't even fathom it.
Like
that's keeping a stiff upper lip. When the Ruskies come and go, it's like, especially them coming through and being like, rape the whole town, and you're just like, motherfucker. And then you see them coming back, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Dude, it was like there's a story of them going into like a covenant, convent, convent, of like nuns, and they were getting old and young. Like it wasn't like it was sexual. It was like they were doing this to them on purpose.
Jesus,
like, it was fucking crazy,
dude.
Bro. That's one of the hardest things. That's a hard podcast to listen to.
That's a tough one.
It's fucking nuts.
They stormed the convent. Bad timing. I saw a hot nun not too long ago. I'd never seen a hot nun before. I saw one the other day when I went to Palm Sunday.
That's awesome.
Saw a hot young nun, and I was like, oh my God. Dude, like, I've only seen old, like, just super old ladies. I saw probably like a 26-year-old Spanish-looking chick. It was a nun, and I was just like, oh my God.
Dios mío,
dude. I was like, I remember my cousin had a nan who was not too nice, dude.
Really?
She's pretty nice. I think she was like part German. She was a mean old nan, dude.
Yeah, you could run into some mean... If she was German, dude.
Yeah, she was
that could be it. She probably survived.
A fucking Nazi, dude.
She could have survived the Ruskies.
Holy fuck, I never thought about that.
Fucking plugged by a bunch of Ruskies.
I never thought about that. She wasn't from Germany. She was from America. I think she was from America.
Oh, well, still.
She knew
some of her boys. Her pals got... She was definitely friends with Nazis.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. I never thought about that. She was a mean dude. Yeah. You're saying there's good people on both sides.
I'm saying there's a lot of bad people on both sides. Well, they were fighting the fucking Soviets.
That's true.
I'm talking that.
They're monsters, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good people.
There's just monsters fighting monsters.
Yeah.
You could just be a normal dude and your government sucks.
That's true.
And they're just like, well, you're a Nazi now.
Join up or die.
Like, do you want to join up or we're going to shoot your whole family?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, yeah, I guess.
Chuck on the uniform.
Yeah.
Get to goose stepping, dude.
Get the fucking stepping.
Yeah, that's the ultimate choice.
Well, that's something your boy JP talks about a lot, and every historian is like, it's easy to fucking sit here now and be like, look at these pieces of shit. I would have done something.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have done shit.
Yeah, saying the person.
You would have fucking joined right up.
It's funny, the people I know who go along with like every single cultural thing going on right now are like, oh my God, I wouldn't. It's like, you would have been a fucking Nazi,
You would have been, dude, if you had the fucking balls to try to like assassinate someone or like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, there's like,
I would have probably done it, I'm not going to lie.
I would
probably
definitely let an
assassinate
insurrection.
Hitler. I'm saying.
There's almost no chance Hitler could rise in my country.
I'm just allergic to groupthink. That's just
I would
me.
kill him right away.
Oh, if it were me, forget it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to groupthink.
Early on, I'd be cheering for him.
You think so?
Yeah, because he was a fucking maniac. I'd be like, this guy's hilarious.
Well, he also came in. Yeah, he did come in a time. He came in a time while they were having a tough time, and he was like, "Don't show mama."
He trumped out.
He trumped out, dude. He's like, "It's going to be a magnificent."
Yeah, he. But yeah, there's stories that are just like there's one that's sick. It's like this is in Berlin, like right before the Soviets are coming, and everybody. The story is like everybody on this trolley was like panicking and like talking shit.
Yeah.
And this dude in the back was wearing like full fucking Nazi regalia, like fucking. He was an officer that like blew up a bunch of tanks. Like you could tell by his.
He had tons of swaz on
him. And he stood up and was like, "Listen, shut the fuck up." He's like, "If they do half of what we did to them, we are fucked. So you better fight to the fucking death today." And
when they came in?
Yeah.
This dude had like the most SWAT. Did they do that like a football team? Like the more tanks you explode, they hit you with another SWAT on your helmet?
He had a bunch of Buckeyes. And yeah, because at the end they were using like boys and old men to fight these fucking Soviets. They're like, we got to use everything we got.
There's so many Ruskies though.
There's a lot of Ruskies, and those boys were eager to get in there.
Damn.
Because and also the Soviets were using they were using everybody. So this is convicts. This is fucking.
They freed everybody.
Everyone was just like, "You're going to the front, dude. Go nuts." Yeah, these are the worst people in the world.
Shit.
Yeah. But it's people that committed the worst atrocities, fighting each other.
Yeah.
So then when atrocities happen to them, it's like you still like there's still sympathy. Because it's so horrible for either side. Like whoever's getting victimized, it's like Jesus Christ.
Oh, who's getting
even if it's the Nazis?
Yeah, who's getting stormed and raped?
Yeah. Even if you just sat back,
that's a tough ticket to pull from the deli counter.
But it is like because all these people in Berlin were like, hell yeah, we're fucking these countries up. We're the best. It's like you guys were just storming and raping everybody.
Yeah, dude.
So then when it comes back to you, that Ghost of the Ostfront wasn't really a hot topic for us.
That was a super hot topic, dude.
It just fucks me up.
Dude.
It's like, and then just normal people have no idea.
Do you think they add that to Clash of Clans?
What?
Like a rape function?
Yeah, at the end.
That's pretty
What was wild about the story about that convent is like the Russian soldiers that were up front were like pretty elite soldiers. Mm-hmm. So they would come in and be like, we're going to take care of you, but you got to get the fuck out of here. Like the guys coming behind us are wild.
Savages, yeah.
Like you need to go west quick. And so people couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. You got a bunch of
nuns.
And
this is what was considered he was like the largest like mass retreat in human history. It was millions of people trying to go west. So every road was just packed with it was all women and children because the men are dead. So it's just miles of women drivers trying to get out of the city. Oh my
god, dude!
Just walking and all that, but it was enough that they were lit up at night, so the bombers could see them, and the Soviets would just blow up women and children.
Oh,
like dude, they were
payback.
Rightfully so. They were fucking furious, and they were coming in just to kill everyone. It's wild, bro.
Jesus Christ! I mean, that's all it takes is one person coming in and like fucking up your village, and it's like, all right, well, this fucking on. Tag, I'm it, dude. Let's go.
Dude, there's all these stories of. I'm sorry, I'm doing this. It's just I'm excited about it because it's
fucking
wild
tight.
Shit. There's these stories about partisans is what they're called. So like when you invade a country, if you're occupying a country, basically the people resisting.
Yeah.
And like the Germans came into this town and they were like, get us this fucking gold or we're gonna kill everyone.
They were like the Anunnaki.
And they're like, we're gonna check in on you later.
Yeah.
So everybody in the village. So then these soldiers left, and like 4 Nazis were left there. Everyone in the village murdered those Nazis, burned down the village, and left, except for one building that all the Nazis were in. And they left a box that just said gold on it. And when they opened it, it was everyone's heads.
Oh!
And it was like, dude, they
how did the Nazis not know? The building.
They kept open.
The Nazis had been in.
Yeah, like their headquarters.
Oh, that's so
in
fun.
the town.
That'd be so fun to burn your town down, chop off your captors' heads. Like seriously, that would be fucking tight.
But then there's stories of like in Sarajevo, they assassinated the guy who was
the bull.
The
yeah,
governor.
I remember that. Yeah.
They assassinated him, and then the way the Nazis responded was they hung like 1,000 people. They just hung 1,000 civilians
Jesus
from like the light
Christ.
posts in the cities.
What was the direct economic interest they were fighting over back then? So I know now it's oil and all that stuff. Back then, were they just
fuck, I forget what the word for it in German is, but it's something like free land.
Yeah.
Like Lebensspace, like living space.
Mm-hmm.
And
they wanted to eat it. Russia was big as fuck. So they were like,
well, no, this was Germany. They were trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
They were like, the Aryan people need living space.
Yeah, we need to breathe.
Everybody over here is our slave. Everybody on the West, they're going to join us. Like, it was...
Oh, I got you. So they're just basically
They were just trying to invade everything. And eventually, this was right... In World War II was when oil became massive.
Mm-hmm.
So the Germans were trying to work their way down to the Middle East to get all the oil.
Wow. So that was the plan. It was like everyone...
Head down through, Greece, get into, Turkey. That's why they were also in North Africa. They were all trying to work their way to the Middle East.
So they're just going to invade everyone, be like, white people are the best, hit the fucking Africa, take all the oil in the Middle East, and then just be the fucking oligarchs of the world.
Yeah. And the Ruskies were like, nah.
The Ruskies were like, nah, dude.
I had a terrible morning yesterday. I woke up after a nasty dream. I had a bad dream. I've been having bad dreams. I keep listening to this fucking book.
Dude.
Oh, I gotta tell you that. I told you. I called.
That
dude.
fucked me. That was crazy.
So this is what I went to bed to. I'm listening to a book about the genocide of Ukraine, which was just Stalin's 5-year plan, just starving Ukraine, and it's just an hour and a half of just this chapter in this book is just an hour and a half.
How do you go about starving an entire country?
You just take all the food.
You just take it from.
Happened.
True, yeah, it happened.
It's a lot. I think it's a lot easier than you think.
Well, it requires a very weak, dumb populace, like the Ukrainians. Not you guys. Not you guys.
So you take the food.
I'm just listening to these stories. Whoever wrote this is just literally telling horrific stories.
God.
Like they found the students found their classmate's head without his body in the local pond, and its family ate the student and killed themselves.
When do you think they
shit. And this
Ukrainian
story,
slaughter.
dude, this story.
It's funny.
I was laying in bed, when you sleep. I sleep on my side with my arm, and my fat face is motionless while
He was
listening to just horrible shit. And then this one story I heard was so bad that I was like, I just found myself in bed, just like. It's so funny. But the story was these two ladies, they had an orphanage that was just filled basically with starving children. Yeah. Everyone bellies bloated, everyone's starving.
Chucky no cheese, dude.
It was absolutely Chucky no cheese, dude. Chuck Netzoff no cheese. So for to help the kid, I don't know, they would lay out, everybody was suffering. All the children were they couldn't speak. They were that hungry. They were starving to death. Literally. And they would lay them out, these children, out on they said sheets in the grass outside, and let them lay, and they would just constantly be moaning. The teachers could leave the kids out because the kids couldn't move.
Yeah, they couldn't.
And they would just be out there
There's a ton of moaning kids.
And then the story was that one day they left them out. They're probably smoking cigarettes or something, and all of a sudden the kids were quiet. So they're like, oh shit, we got to go check this out. And they went out, and the kids were tearing the flesh off of the smallest one and sucking the blood and eating the meat. And the kid was eating his own skin too. Anyway.
Wow.
What a fun story. It was a 4-year-old.
Wicked, dude.
Yeah, I was just laying there just just in bed, just
They fucking ate him.
God.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
They had to pull the kids off. They were literally biting and sucking the blood.
One kid just latched onto the other, and then they all kind of just rolled over.
Yeah, but the thing that fucked me up the most was the kid was eating himself also. Once everybody else started munching him, he was like, oh shit.
Oh, so he was like, give me a bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Of himself. And they would eat their own shit.
Would they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would find kids that have been eating their own shit. I mean, it's the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's fucked.
It's terrible.
Yeah, food is good. It's nice to have it, man.
Yeah, it was like the Irish famine, but now it was much more documented. It was in the 40s.
And it was
The
much more successful, I think.
Yeah, they did
really
a good
wiped
job.
out a lot.
Yeah, they got a lot of them.
Yeah.
No one was able to even leave. They all just...
We had a lot of guys fleeing.
Yeah.
People were...
A lot of weaklings left the island.
Became great.
True.
Built it up for you to come over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now look at you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it seems pretty good over there. I'd like to have a little shot of me own over there.
Give me a taste of that.
What he was saying, after World War II, Europe was just in shambles. Russia was like, well, we'll be king of the shambles, and we'll run Europe, and we'll get like access to Europe's kind of like farm, all this other stuff. And America was like, we can't have that. So that was the Cold War. And then once the Soviet Union collapsed, the Soviet Union kept that like weird no man's land of Eastern Europe into the Middle East in check. Yeah, kept them in check.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't bust it. Because that was all dudes from like old civilizations who would be like, the Phoenicians will rise. Like, there were all these weird old civilizations like, we gotta fucking rise again. But Russia would be like, not right now, guys, stop.
Yeah.
As soon as Russia fell, because we had been training Afghan, the Afghani guys the whole time. Russia fell, and then they were like, oh shit, this is up for grabs now. So it's been a nonstop domino. People were like, oh shit, they collapsed, up for grabs.
Yeah.
Pretty tight.
Yeah.
And the whole place, apparently, I didn't know that after the Cold War, that stretch of like the Balkans just fucking erupted. It was that was like Kosovo and all that shit when we were little.
Yes.
I didn't know about that. I mean, I heard about it, but that's where it came from.
Of course.
I didn't know this.
This is how history works.
I knew this is how it would go.
You can literally, it keeps going.
It's crazy.
You can blame the way things are right now is from the American Civil War.
Dude, and that's
things that happened then.
Yeah.
Things that happened, and that happened because of the revolution. That happened because
it's crazy.
Every single thing you can.
It's pretty tight.
The way things are now is because of the Haitian Revolution. That's how history works.
It was nuts.
It's wild.
Man. It was really nuts.
That's why I'm such a big fan of it. I say, wow, what a great subject.
Wow. But the funny
when I was a young boy in 5th grade, I said, wow, what a great subject.
That's interesting.